Night wind pressed against the rooftop of Donna's restaurant, carrying the low hum of Oakland traffic far below. Maxwell Blake stood at the edge of the building, not close enough to be reckless, but close enough that the city lights looked unfamiliar to him. His fingers trembled around an unopened letter, the paper aged, edges softened by years of being kept hidden. He had found it only hours earlier among his father's belongings, a single envelope that felt heavier than anything he had built in his millionaire life. His breathing wasn't steady. His chest rose and fell with something that didn't feel like panic, but recognition of a truth he never had the courage to look for. Across from him stood Donna Queen, the woman he left behind, the woman he thought had let him go without a word, the woman who now watched him with a strength that made him feel smaller than he had ever felt in any boardroom. Her arms were by her sides, but her shoulders were locked tight, as if bracing for impact. Maxwell swallowed hard and forced words past a throat that felt dry. "Donna." His voice cracked before he steadied it. "I didn't leave you. I just didn't know you asked me to stay." Her face didn't break. It didn't soften either. It settled into something sharper, the kind of expression a person forms after carrying disappointment long enough to get used to its weight. Donna took one step back, a clean, controlled movement. Her eyes glossed, not from weakness, but from everything she refused to let spill over. "Maxwell, that letter was the last time I trusted anyone to come back." The words landed with the force of a truth spoken after years of holding it in. Her voice didn't shake. It didn't need to. The steadiness hurt more. Maxwell's heart dropped into a place inside him he never allowed emotions to reach. He opened his mouth to respond, to explain, to plead, to apologize, but another voice spoke before he could. A familiar voice, a fragile voice. His father's slow footsteps scraped across the rooftop doorway. The old man leaned heavily against the frame, his breath shallow but determined to be heard. "Son," he whispered, guilt woven into every syllable. "You were never supposed to see that letter. I hid it." Maxwell froze. The rooftop fell silent. Even the city below seemed to pause. Donna's eyes widened slightly, not in shock, but in confirmation, as if something inside her finally clicked into place. Maxwell turned toward his father, disbelief tightening every muscle in his jaw. Years of unanswered questions, old regret, and false assumptions collided at once. He felt the ground tilt, not from dizziness but from realization. His father looked smaller than he ever had in that moment. Not physically, emotionally, like a man who knew a choice made long ago had broken something he never meant to touch. Maxwell's voice finally escaped him. "You hid it?" The old man nodded once, slow, remorseful. "I thought you needed freedom," he murmured. "I thought Oakland would hold you back. I didn't know I was holding her down." That sentence cracked open a truth none of them were prepared for. Donna lowered her gaze, not in shame, in confirmation of what she had always suspected but never proved. Maxwell's grip tightened around the envelope, the letter that could have rewritten both their lives, the letter that never reached him, the letter that reshaped the past in one brutal instant. The rooftop wasn't cold, but Maxwell felt something slip through him, the weight of a truth uncovered too late. He turned back to Donna, his voice quieter now. "Everything I built was built on a lie I didn't know existed." Donna held his eyes, expression steady. "That's the thing about leaving," she said softly. "It looks different when you learn what you walked away from." Her words didn't accuse. They revealed. Just like the letter, the night settled again. Not peaceful, just real. Have you ever discovered the truth years too late? Have you ever found out that a hidden moment, a single choice you never knew existed, shaped your entire future? Have you ever returned home only to realize your memories weren't the full story? That something important waited for you in silence? This is the story of a man who climbed high enough to see the world differently, but never realized the ground he left behind was the foundation he needed most. Stay with me until the end, because what Maxwell uncovers about Donna's past, and what he finally learns about his own, will challenge everything he thought he understood about loyalty, love, and responsibility. Before we dive in, please like this video and comment below. It truly helps YouTube push the story to more amazing people. Welcome to Mr. Gerald family. The hospital room carried a kind of stillness Maxwell Blake never respected until now. Not quiet, just steady, almost patient, as though the walls themselves understood time differently. Machines beeped in soft intervals. A nurse's footsteps faded down the hall. The sharp scent of disinfectant hung in the air, mixing with something older, something that reminded him of the nights he sat waiting for his father to return from late shifts when he was a kid. His father lay propped up on thin pillows, thinner than Maxwell remembered. Not small, just reduced somehow, as if life had folded him into a version of himself Maxwell wasn't prepared to see. The older man's chest rose and fell with effort, each breath heavy but controlled. Maxwell stood near the foot of the bed, hands in his pockets, shoulders tense. His tie was still knotted from a meeting earlier that day, though he barely remembered what the meeting was about. People were waiting for decisions. Investors, partners, teams. They always were, but none of them mattered in this room. "You don't have to stay," his father said, breaking the silence. His voice was low, thin, but steady enough not to sound defeated. "I know you got things." Maxwell didn't sit immediately. He stayed standing because standing felt safer. Sitting meant settling into a moment he didn't know how to handle. Still, he forced himself into the chair beside the bed, leaning forward with elbows on his knees. "I've got time," he said. The words felt rehearsed, even though he didn't prepare them. His phone vibrated in his pocket. Twice. He didn't reach for it. Not here. His father studied him with the heavy softness of someone who had known him before he learned to hide behind schedules and silence. "You've been gone a long time," the old man murmured. It wasn't an accusation. It wasn't even regret. Just truth. Maxwell swallowed. "Yeah, I know." He didn't explain why he stayed away. He couldn't. Success is a comfortable curtain, and once you step behind it, it becomes easy to pretend distance is maturity instead of avoidance. They sat quietly for a few seconds, long enough for Maxwell's heart to settle into the rhythm of the machines. His father shifted slightly, wincing but refusing help. "I want to go home." That struck deeper than he expected. Home wasn't just a word. It wasn't an address. It was a version of his life buried beneath years of self-imposed distance. It was a reminder of who he used to be before money, meetings, and motion turned his emotions into locked storage. Maxwell straightened. "Home. Oakland," his father clarified. "I want to see it again." The name hit him like someone pressing a bruise he forgot he had. Oakland wasn't just a place he left. It was a place he walked away from without saying a proper goodbye to anything or anyone. It was the neighborhood that shaped him. It was the place that watched him grow and drift away. It was Donna Queen, every memory with her preserved in a part of his heart he never allowed himself to revisit. Maxwell exhaled slowly, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "You sure?" he asked. His father gave a small nod, eyes soft but resolute. "I am." Maxwell leaned back, staring at the ceiling. He didn't want to return. He didn't want to walk streets that remembered him too well. He didn't want to confront people he once knew. But his father's face, weathered, tired, shrinking, left him without the luxury of avoidance. Responsibility pressed against him, and this time he couldn't outrun it. "Okay," Maxwell said finally. "We'll go." His father released a breath, as if he had been holding it for years. "Good. I want one more look before I go." The words unsettled Maxwell, and for a split second, fear crawled up his spine. He pushed it down. He looked at his father, really looked, and the weight of aging, illness, and time felt heavier than anything printed on stock reports. Silence filled the room again, but this time it wasn't uncomfortable. It was grounding, almost necessary. Maxwell's mind drifted, not to the city itself, but to the one person whose name still softened something he didn't like admitting he had, Donna Queen. He could see her clearly, as if memory had polished her image instead of letting it fade. Her laugh, the way she used to punch his shoulder when she was annoyed, the way she looked at him like she saw the version of him he abandoned long before he left town. He wondered how she'd react if she saw him now. Would she smile? Look away? Pretend he never mattered? He couldn't blame her if she did. His father's voice pulled him back. "You thinking about her?" Maxwell didn't deny it. "Yeah, I guess I am." His father chuckled weakly. "That girl had your number. Still does, probably." Maxwell's chest tightened. "I doubt she cares now." "You'd be surprised," the old man replied, eyes closing slightly. "Some people don't forget easy." Maxwell didn't respond. He didn't trust himself to. His phone buzzed again. This time he looked at the screen but didn't open the message. Another reminder of the life he lived far from here. A life that didn't accommodate stillness. He powered the phone off. His father opened one eye. That's serious? Being here is, Maxwell admitted. Everything else can wait. A small smile formed on the old man's face. About time you slowed down. Maxwell let out a breath that felt like it had been trapped behind years of movement. Midway through the stillness, he spoke directly toward the invisible audience his life rarely allowed him to acknowledge. Hey everyone, if you're watching this, take a moment to like this video and leave a comment. It helps the channel grow, and I appreciate every one of you. Thanks for being here with us in this story. He returned to his father, the moment undisturbed. The older man shifted again, looking fragile in a way Maxwell never prepared his heart for. I don't know how many days I've got left, he said softly. But I want them where life started, not where it ended. Maxwell nodded. No more hesitation, no more retreating into convenience. We'll go home, he confirmed again. I'll take you. His father reached out, resting a trembling hand on Maxwell's arm. Good man. The touch was light, but the meaning carried decades. Maxwell stood, adjusting his jacket, suddenly aware of the weight of responsibility settling into his chest. Not burden, purpose. He looked out the window at the fading daylight. Oakland waited somewhere beyond the horizon. So did truth. So did memory. So did the woman whose name still rested on the softest part of his thoughts. He wasn't ready, but he was going anyway. And for the first time in a long time, Maxwell wasn't running toward success or away from emotion. He was going back to finish something he never should have abandoned. The drive into Oakland hit Maxwell Blake harder than he expected. He had flown over cities, crossed continents without blinking, moved through life as if the world were a map he owned. But driving his father back into the neighborhood where he grew up made him feel like a child returning a book he checked out years ago and never brought back. He kept one hand on the wheel, the other tapping lightly against his thigh. His father leaned back in the passenger seat, eyes drifting from street to street as if every corner held a familiar memory. They passed old storefronts, paint faded but still fighting to stand upright. Barbershops with handwritten posters taped to windows. Small markets that hadn't changed their signs in decades. Sidewalks cracked from years of weather and footsteps. Buses rolled by with tired metal bodies and loud brakes. The city didn't shine, but it breathed. Maxwell exhaled slowly. He had forgotten this rhythm, the sound of people talking across parking lots, kids laughing while running in groups, older neighbors looking up from porches to see who was driving by. He felt their gazes on the car. Recognition didn't come with smiles or waves, just long, steady looks. Oakland remembered him, but memory didn't mean welcome. His father pointed toward a block ahead. Turn left. House should be the same, unless time did something to it. Maxwell followed the direction, steering onto the street he had walked 1,000 times as a boy. Some houses had fresh coats of paint. Others looked untouched since he left. A few had new fences. A few sat silent, windows boarded, waiting for someone to care. When he stopped in front of their old house, his father sighed. Not sad, just full. There it stood. Same steps, same narrow porch, same front windows framed by uneven curtains. Time had worn it down, but not out. Maxwell stepped out of the car, the air hitting him with scents he didn't know he had missed. A mix of old wood, fried food from a neighbor's kitchen, and damp earth. His father took longer to exit. Maxwell rushed to his side to help, but the old man waved him off lightly. I got it. My home, my steps. Still, Maxwell stayed close as his father climbed the porch slowly. When the door opened, the house greeted them with a stillness that made the past feel close. The inside was exactly as Maxwell remembered, floors that creaked, walls that held family pictures, and the faint smell of dust mixed with old memories. His father walked through the living room with hands brushing lightly over furniture. Feels the same, he whispered. Like the first never left. Maxwell watched him settle into his old recliner, lowering himself with care. For the first time since the hospital, he looked comfortable. You rest, Maxwell said. I'll grab your bags. He headed outside, but before he reached the car, a voice called out from across the yard. You're back? Maxwell froze. He knew the voice. He didn't need to turn to recognize it. Still, he did. There she stood, Donna Queen, not framed by city lights or rooftop shadows like the rooftop moment from The Hook. This was an earlier moment, raw and unexpected, the first time they saw each other after years apart. She stood next to her gate, keys in hand, still as stone. Her posture confident, chin slightly lifted, eyes narrowed just enough to show she wasn't sure how to feel. Maxwell's breath caught. She looked different. She looked grown, not older, grounded. Her hair was pulled back neatly, emphasizing her cheekbones and the natural strength in her face. She wore simple clothes, jeans, a fitted top, a sweater draped around her shoulders. Nothing flashy, nothing trying to impress. She didn't need to. "Donna," Maxwell said, voice low. She gave a small nod. Maxwell. His name sounded unfamiliar in her mouth after all these years, yet it fit perfectly. It scraped something inside him, a reminder that she once said his name with warmth, laughter, irritation, and something that looked a lot like love. Now it carried caution. He took a step closer, but she didn't move. Her gaze flicked toward the house, toward the open car door, piecing together why he was here. "Your father, he's back?" "Yeah," Maxwell said softly. "He wanted to come home." She nodded again, her lips pressed together, not tense, just considering. "He looks tired," she said. "He is." She looked at Maxwell fully now, and he saw the shift, recognition mixing with old emotion, but not surrendering to it. There was a limit to how much she'd give him in this moment. "You're staying?" she asked. "I don't know," he admitted. "I'm here for him." A hint of something flickered in her eyes. Not hope, not resentment, just clarity. Donna had always been direct, always able to cut through excuses. "You look different," she said finally. "You do too," he replied. She gave a short exhale, something between a laugh and a sigh. "Yeah. Life does that." Silence stretched between them, not heavy, but meaningful. The kind that carried all the things left unsaid, all the goodbyes never spoken, all the explanations he never gave. Maxwell rubbed his palms together nervously. "I didn't expect to see you so soon." Donna tilted her head. "This is Oakland. People see each other sooner or later." The way she said it felt like a reminder, maybe even a warning. Maxwell swallowed, unsure how to shape the rest of this moment. His heart tapped loudly against his ribs. It felt strange. He didn't get nervous anymore. Not in negotiations, not in meetings, not in anything. But Donna wasn't a task. She wasn't a contract. She wasn't something to outperform. She was a truth he ran from. Donna's gaze softened slightly, but her voice remained measured. "You should get him settled. He's been through a lot." Maxwell nodded. "Yeah, I will." She started to turn away, pausing only once before stepping toward her house. "Maxwell." He lifted his eyes quickly. "Don't disappear this time without saying something first." Her words weren't sharp. They weren't a demand. They were a boundary, one he understood fully. "I won't," he said quietly. She nodded once, walked up her steps, and closed her door behind her. Maxwell stood still, hands at his sides, watching the empty space where she had been. Oakland felt heavier now, not suffocating, just honest. He picked up his father's bags, brought them inside, and helped settle the old man into his favorite room. His father watched him with a knowing smile. "You saw her," the old man said. Maxwell didn't deny it. "Yeah, how was it?" Maxwell sat beside him, exhaling slowly. "Hard, but real." His father nodded. Some things hurt because they mattered. Maxwell didn't respond, but the truth of the words settled deep. He stood at the doorway a moment later, looking back at the man who raised him, then toward the window that faced Donna's house. Oakland had not forgotten him. Donna had not forgotten either, and now he had to decide whether he was willing to face the pieces of himself he left behind. The next morning, Maxwell woke earlier than he expected. The house was quiet, except for the familiar creak of old floorboards adjusting to the cool air. His father was still asleep, breathing, slow and steady. Maxwell stood in the doorway for a moment, watching him, feeling a strange mixture of comfort and responsibility settle deeper into his chest. He needed coffee. He needed space. He needed to think. and without planning to, his mind drifted toward one place: Donna's restaurant. The last time he stepped inside that building, he was 17, carrying dreams so large they barely fit inside him. Donna had stood behind the counter then too, teasing him for rushing through life like it was a race, instead of something meant to be lived. Now, years later, he found himself walking down the familiar block, hands in his pockets, nerves buzzing. The morning sun stretched across the sidewalk. A few early customers milled around outside, waiting for the open sign to flip. Maxwell inhaled deeply before pushing the glass door. A soft bell above the frame chimed. Donna stood behind the counter, wiping down a metal tray. She looked up, surprised but not startled. Her eyes held the same guarded calm she wore yesterday, but today the edge was softer, not welcoming, but not shutting him out either. "You're early," she said. "You're open," he replied. "Not officially, but the door never locks until lunchtime." She set the tray aside. "Most folks know that." He nodded, stepping farther inside. The space smelled of warm spices, flour, and something slow-cooked. It carried the comfort of a place where people came to feel human again. Donna gestured toward the stool at the corner of the counter. "Sit. You look like you need something." He didn't argue. "Coffee?" She filled a mug without asking how he liked it, because she already knew. She slid it across the counter, pausing only long enough for their fingers to brush briefly. Her hands felt warm. His felt colder than he expected. "You slept?" she asked. "A little. Your father?" "He's holding on." Donna nodded once. "He's tough. Always was." Maxwell took a sip of the coffee. Strong, bitter, familiar. "Place hasn't changed much," he said, glancing around. "It changed enough," Donna replied. "But I kept what mattered." He looked at her again. "You always did." Whenever she didn't want emotion to lead the moment, she moved. Today was no different. Donna reached for a bowl of fresh vegetables, set them on the prep counter, and picked up a knife. The crisp sound of chopping filled the kitchen. Maxwell watched her work, not in a way that made her self-conscious. She didn't entertain that, but with quiet attention. Her hands moved with certainty. She held the knife like someone who didn't fear mistakes. "You still cook the way you used to," Maxwell said. "That surprises you?" "No. It reminds me." She paused only briefly before continuing. "What does it remind you of?" He leaned his elbows onto the counter. "You making lunch for your mother before school. Me stealing whatever you didn't hide fast enough." Donna smirked. "You were terrible at being sneaky. I was excellent. You just watched me too closely." She shot him a look that was almost a smile. "You made it easy." The banter slipped into place without force, natural, like muscle memory. But beneath it lay something else, a caution, a bruise they both kept from being pressed too hard. After a few minutes, she asked, "Why'd you come here today?" He didn't answer right away. "I didn't want to wake him. And you crossed my mind." Donna's hands slowed, but she didn't stop chopping. "That's not a small thing to say." "I know." She finished the vegetables, scraped them into a bowl, and washed her hands. Maxwell watched the way she closed the faucet, quick, decisive. Then she placed another cutting board in front of him. "You're helping." He blinked. "I am." "You want to sit in here, you work. Rules haven't changed." Maxwell pushed up from the stool and moved behind the counter. The kitchen felt smaller than he remembered, not physically, but emotionally, like it held too many pieces of who he used to be. Donna handed him a small pile of ingredients. "Slice these." Maxwell took the knife. His first cut was uneven. His second wasn't much better. Donna glanced over. "You lead companies worth millions, but you can't cut onions?" He laughed under his breath. "Boardrooms don't prepare you for this." "No," she said quietly. "This prepares you for real life." They worked side by side without speaking for a while. The silence wasn't awkward. It carried meaning, shared memory, lost time, regret neither had fully admitted out loud. Donna broke the quiet first. "You didn't visit all these years." Maxwell's jaw tightened. "I know. You didn't call." "I know. You left without anything. No explanation, no goodbye." He set the knife down, meeting her eyes. "I didn't know how to come back after leaving." Donna's breath hitched almost imperceptibly. "You could have tried." He nodded. accepting the truth without defending himself. I should have. A long pause followed. Then she said, I'm not angry. He believed her. But he also knew she wasn't untouched by what happened. You deserved better, he murmured. Donna looked down at the cutting board. Maybe. But life isn't about what we deserve. It's about what we build after the mess. He watched her for a moment. You built something good here. I built something steady, she corrected. Good came later. Customers began knocking lightly on the glass door outside, ready for the day to start. Donna didn't move to open yet. She stayed focused on Maxwell, something in her eyes shifting. She studied him, not to search for blame, but to understand who he had become. You look tired, she said softly. So do you. We're getting older. Not the way I pictured, he admitted. She folded a towel over her arm. Life rarely matches the picture. When she stepped closer to take the knife from him, their bodies brushed. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't dramatic. It was simply a moment where space narrowed. The air between them shifted. Not tense, aware. Donna didn't pull away immediately. Maxwell didn't either. There it was. The first small hum of something returning. Fragile, but real enough to feel. She eventually stepped back, clearing her throat as she glanced toward the door. I should open up, she said. Yeah. But if you're around later, she added, not looking directly at him, I could use another pair of hands. You're terrible at shopping, but decent company. Maxwell's lips lifted into a quiet smile. I'll be here. She nodded once, then flipped the open sign. As customers began filtering in, Maxwell walked out through the side door. The sun caught the edge of his face, warming the cool air around him. He felt something he hadn't felt in years, not hope exactly, but a pull, a shift, a beginning he didn't plan. He glanced back through the restaurant window. Donna was laughing lightly with a customer, but her eyes flicked toward the door where he had just left. She didn't smile, but she didn't look away either. The afternoon light stretched gently across the Blake kitchen, slipping through the thin curtains that had been there since Maxwell's childhood. The place smelled like old wood and lemon cleaner, a reminder of the simplicity he traded for constant travel and high-rise buildings. His father slept in the next room, breathing steady, wrapped in the warmth of being home again. Maxwell rolled his sleeves up and stood at the stove, staring down at a pot of simmering sauce. The recipe wasn't written anywhere. His mother never used instructions. She taught by standing behind him, pressing her hand over his to guide the spoon, humming softly while stirring. He hadn't made it in years. He stirred slowly, letting the scent rise. Tomato, herbs, a touch of butter, the faint nostalgia of something carefully passed down. As the flavors blended, he realized how much he missed this kind of quiet. His life had become loud, filled with decisions, deadlines, and pressure. But here, in this old kitchen, the silence created room for things he'd buried too deep. The back door creaked open. Donna stepped inside without knocking. She always walked in like that when they were younger, never checking if he was busy, never hesitating. Her presence used to feel normal. Now it felt like a memory walking back into the same room. She paused when the smell reached her. You're making her recipe, he nodded without turning. Trying to. Donna leaned against the counter, folding her arms loosely. Smells right. It'd better, he said. I've been stirring this pot like it owes me answers. She allowed a small smile to form. That's how your mother did it. He exhaled, slowly. Yeah. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It carried weight. Shared grief, shared history, and something gentler than the tension from yesterday. The kitchen's familiarity softened the edges between them. Donna stepped forward. Need help? No, Maxwell said. I think I need to do this part myself. She nodded, understanding more than his words revealed. She moved to sit at the small wooden table near the window. Your father told me you were cooking. Of course he did, Maxwell said, stirring the sauce again. He's proud of this, you know. Proud of what? She asked. That I'm here. Donna watched him carefully. He should be. He turned the stove down and faced her. For a moment, neither of them said anything. The sun caught a soft glow across her hair, and Maxwell felt the familiar pressure of unspoken things hanging between them. I was thinking, he began, that maybe we could eat together. Nothing formal. Donna raised an eyebrow. You asking or telling? Asking, he said, cracking a small smile. She nodded. All right, let's eat. Maxwell served 2 bowls of pasta, simple, warm, honest, and joined her at the table. They ate quietly at first, not because the silence was heavy, but because the moment didn't need decoration. Every spoonful felt like revisiting a time before life complicated everything. Donna finally said, "Your mother would have loved seeing this." He swallowed, his chest tightening. "She'd probably tell me the sauce is too thick." "She would." Donna laughed softly. "And then she'd fix it behind your back." Maxwell chuckled. "Yeah, sounds right." Another quiet moment passed before Donna set her spoon down. "You know, walking into this house again feels strange. For you too?" he asked. "For both of us," she replied. "This kitchen, these walls, they hold everything we were before life pulled us in different directions." He nodded. Donna continued, "There's something I never said, something from back then." Maxwell lifted his eyes, alert. "What is it?" She looked down at her hands. "That night, the one before you left, I wanted to kiss you." His pulse stilled. Donna didn't rush her explanation. She spoke gently, honestly. "I wasn't scared of the kiss. I was scared it would make it harder when you left. So I held it in." Maxwell leaned back in his chair. The memory sharpened instantly. Her standing under the streetlight, the air heavy, the feeling that something unfinished lingered between them. "I wanted to come back," he admitted. "Every day." Donna looked at him, not with accusation, but with a calm truth. "But you didn't." "No," he said quietly. "I didn't." She didn't flinch. She didn't soften. She simply accepted his honesty. He continued, "I told myself the world was bigger than this place, that I needed space to grow, that leaving was necessary. But I think I used ambition to avoid facing what mattered." Donna looked out the window. "That's life, Maxwell. We move, we choose. Sometimes we leave things behind because staying forces us to answer questions we're not ready for." "Were you angry?" he asked. She shook her head. "Not angry. Just careful. When someone you care about disappears without a word, it teaches you to stop depending on what isn't steady." Maxwell breathed deeply. "I'm sorry." Donna nodded, accepting but not dismissing. "I know." They sat together, letting the honesty settle. It didn't fix the past, but it corrected the silence around it. After they finished eating, Donna stood and grabbed her jacket. "Come walk with me." Maxwell followed her outside. The air was cool, the sky washed in late afternoon colors. They walked through streets that once held their youth, sidewalk cracks they used to hop over, corners they used as meeting spots, the fence Maxwell jumped once while running from a dog that wasn't actually chasing him. "I used to think this street was endless," he said. "You were dramatic," Donna replied. "I was 17. Same thing." They walked quietly past the local store, where the owner once yelled at them for knocking over a stack of canned beans. Donna smiled at the memory. Maxwell laughed, shaking his head. Eventually, they stopped at the streetlight where Donna had confessed wanting to kiss him. She touched the pole with her fingertips. "Right here." Maxwell stepped closer. "I remember." "You hesitated that night," she said. "Not because you didn't feel something, but because you were leaving the next morning. You were already gone before you walked away." Her voice wasn't bitter, just honest. Maxwell said softly, "I should have stayed longer. I should have asked what you wanted." Donna held his gaze. "Maybe. But we can't rewrite what happened. We can only understand it." "So what now?" he asked. "That depends," she said. "Are you here to repair something, or just visit a memory?" The question held weight. "I don't know yet," Maxwell answered truthfully. "But I want to find out." Donna nodded, accepting the answer without pressing further. "Good. Then keep walking." And they did, side by side, not touching, not rushing. Just 2 people finally speaking truths they should have said years ago. As they made their way back toward the house, Maxwell felt the shift inside him, not a spark, not a sudden realization, something steadier, something earned, a beginning. The morning after their walk, Maxwell left the house quietly, letting his father rest. He stepped into the cool Oakland air, rolling his shoulders back as if preparing himself for a world he once knew but never fully appreciated. The streets felt different now, older, wiser, more layered with stories he missed while chasing victories somewhere else. Donna's restaurant was already buzzing by the time he arrived. People lined up outside, chatting with each other, exchanging neighborhood news the way some cities exchanged weather updates. A few looked at Maxwell when he approached, not hostile, not welcoming, just assessing. Walking inside felt like stepping into a heartbeat. Pans hissed on the stove, orders called out from the counter, customers squeezed into booths, laughter mixing with the clatter of utensils. It was a world working at its own pace. Donna stood near the register, hair tied back, apron dusted with flour. She glanced his way briefly, not surprised, not annoyed, simply acknowledging his presence. "You're early," she said as he approached. "You told me to come help. I didn't think you'd actually listen," she replied. "I'm trying," he said. Donna nodded once. "Good. Grab an apron. Dishes first." Maxwell blinked. "Dishes? You thought you were jumping straight into something important?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. He smirked. "I was hoping. Hope doesn't clean plates. Follow me." He tied the apron around his waist and followed her into the back kitchen, where stacks of dishes reached almost to the counter's edge. He stared at them, almost intimidated. Donna crossed her arms. "You handle those. I'll get the prep started." Maxwell rolled up his sleeves. "All right." But once the water hit his hands, reality set in. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't dignified. It wasn't anything he'd done in years. He scrubbed slowly at first, then faster as he found a rhythm. Soap filled the sink, splashing onto his shirt and apron. Donna walked past occasionally, glancing sideways. "You're doing it wrong." He stared at the plate. "How?" "You're scrubbing like you're trying to impress the plate. Just wash it." He laughed, despite himself. "I'm doing my best. That's the problem. Your best looks like someone who never had to clean anything." He shook his head but kept going. Over time, the movements came easier. The kitchen staff peeked in occasionally. Some whispered. Some didn't bother hiding their skepticism. They watched the millionaire from Oakland, now scrubbing dishes like someone trying to buy their way back into a place money couldn't reach. One of the cooks muttered just loud enough for Maxwell to hear. "He won't last 2 days." Donna didn't defend him. She didn't correct them. She let their judgment stand because, in Oakland, respect wasn't given, it was earned. And Maxwell's absence had earned him nothing. By midday, his arms were sore. His shirt was soaked. His pride was noticeably smaller. Donna walked over with a towel and tossed it gently toward him. "Break time," she said. He dried his hands. "This is harder than it looks." "It's life," she replied. "And life here doesn't bend just because you walk back into it." Maxwell nodded, breathing deeply. "Fair." Donna leaned against the counter, arms crossed loosely, not defensive, just grounded. "People are watching you. I noticed." "They're not judging you for leaving," she said. "They're judging you for how you return." Maxwell sat on a crate near the corner. "How am I doing so far?" "Too early to tell," she said plainly. "Actions take time, especially here." He nodded again, accepting her honesty. She pushed herself off the counter. "Come on, we're going out." "Out where?" "You want to understand Oakland? You have to see it working. The restaurant is just one corner." They stepped outside into the sunlight. Donna walked with purposeful steps, Maxwell matching her pace. She greeted people on the street with familiarity. Neighbors, store owners, teenagers who clearly respected her. Some waved back immediately. Others offered nods. Maxwell noticed how people leaned into her presence. Donna wasn't loud, but she didn't need to be. Her influence came from consistency, not spectacle. They passed a small community center where 2 young girls were arguing over a basketball. Donna stopped and called out, "Share the game or I'm keeping the ball." The girls groaned but complied instantly. Maxwell chuckled. "They listen to you. They always do." Eventually, as they walked, a group of older men sitting outside a barber shop eyed Maxwell closely. One of them spoke up. "Thought you forgot this street existed." Maxwell slowed. "Never forgot. Didn't look like it," the man replied. Donna placed a hand lightly on Maxwell's arm, not comforting, guiding. "Come on. This isn't the stop we need." They continued until they reached a quiet corner where the sidewalk cracked into uneven lines. Donna stopped and turned to face him. "This," she said, is the part of Oakland you never saw because you were too busy planning your escape. Maxwell looked around. I didn't escape. I left. Same thing if no one gets a goodbye, she replied. He absorbed the hit, without flinching. She studied him carefully. I know you're trying now, and I see that. But effort doesn't erase impact. I know, he said honestly. I'm not here to erase anything. Good, she replied, because you can't. You can only add something better. He held her gaze. I want to. She nodded once. Then don't rush. Don't perform. Just be here. Maxwell inhaled deeply. I can do that. For a moment, the tension between them loosened. Not romantically, emotionally, human to human. Two people rebuilding ground that cracked years ago. Maxwell turned slightly toward an invisible audience, his voice lowered but sincere. If you're still here listening to this story, take a moment to like the video and drop a comment below. Your support truly helps the channel grow, and I appreciate you being part of this journey with us. Donna didn't notice the aside, but the sentiment carried warmth. They returned to the restaurant just as the lunch rush began to quiet. Kids ran down the sidewalk, holding paper bags of food. A woman pushed a stroller while speaking into her phone. A young man rode his bike too fast, weaving between parked cars. Life moved with momentum here, steady, relentless, honest. Back inside, Donna removed her apron and tossed it onto a hook. That's enough for today. Maxwell raised an eyebrow. You firing me already? No, she said. Just giving you time to process. He leaned against the counter. Donna, all this, your world, this community, it's bigger than I knew. It didn't get bigger, she said. You just stopped looking. That truth landed softly but deeply. I want to do better this time, he said. She regarded him calmly. Then start by understanding that nothing here will adjust for you. Not the people, not the pace, not the expectations. I don't want it to adjust, he replied. Her eyes softened just slightly. Good. Because Oakland doesn't bend for anyone. Maxwell let out a slow breath. I get that now. Donna picked up her keys, preparing to close early for a community meeting. Before leaving, she paused at the doorway. You did all right today, she said. Only all right? That's better than I expected. She walked out without waiting for a response. Maxwell stood alone in the kitchen, staring at the sink where he had washed dishes half the day. His hands still ached. His shirt still smelled faintly of soap and steam. But something inside him, something he couldn't name, felt steadier. He wasn't earning forgiveness. He was earning his place. And for the first time in years, that felt more meaningful than success. Evening settled slowly over the Blake home, the warm glow from the living room lamp spreading across the worn carpet like a soft reminder of years once lived here. Maxwell entered quietly, careful not to disturb the calm that had settled around his father. The old man sat in his recliner, glasses perched low on his nose, sorting through a stack of envelopes and brown folders. You're back early, his father said, not looking up yet. Donna had a meeting, Maxwell replied. I didn't want to get in the way. The old man chuckled lightly. That woman's been running half this neighborhood since she was 20. I noticed. Maxwell set his jacket on the couch and dropped into the seat opposite his father. The table between them was covered with stacks of mail, old bills, receipts, handwritten notes, photographs, and documents piled from years of neglect and long hospital stays. It looked like the inside of a life poured out on wood. You need help with that? Maxwell asked. His father sighed deeply. I've been putting this off. Doctors want my records clean. Might as well get everything in order. All right, Maxwell said, rolling up his sleeves. Let's sort it. For the next several minutes, they worked quietly. Maxwell made piles, medical documents in one stack, utility notices in another, personal papers in a third. His father used to be organized. Years of sickness took that from him. At the bottom of one older box, Maxwell found a bundle of envelopes tied together with brittle twine. He removed them carefully. Some were addressed to his father. Some were work-related. Some were blank. Nothing unusual, until his hand brushed against a single envelope tucked between two outdated tax forms. A white envelope, thinner than the rest, edges softened as if handled more than once. His name was written across the front in handwriting he hadn't seen in years, curved, deliberate, Familiar. Donna Queen. Maxwell felt his breath catch. He turned the envelope slowly in his hands, fingertips brushing over the ink as if testing whether it was real. The flap was sealed, untouched, preserved, like something waiting to be found. He swallowed hard. "Dad," he said quietly, "what's this?" His father didn't answer right away. He looked at the envelope, then at Maxwell, then away again. A deep sigh escaped his chest. Maxwell's stomach tightened. "Why is it unopened?" "It's old," his father muttered. "How old?" Maxwell pressed. His father removed his glasses, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "Long time ago." Maxwell stared at him, waiting. His father finally met his eyes. "Read it." Maxwell slid a thumb beneath the seal, hesitating for just a moment before tearing it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded neatly. He unfolded it carefully, hands trembling. Donna's handwriting filled the page, steady and heartfelt. "Maxwell, I know you're gone already, and maybe this won't reach you. I don't know how to say goodbye the right way. Everything is getting harder here. My mother is sick again, and I don't know what to do. I almost followed you today. I almost got on the bus. But someone has to stay. Someone has to take care of things. Someone has to choose this place. I hope you come back someday. And if you don't, please don't pretend I never mattered. Donna." Maxwell's vision blurred. His chest tightened to the point he couldn't breathe. He blinked rapidly, fighting the burn of emotion creeping up his throat. He read it again, then again. Donna had reached out. She had tried. She had wanted him to stay. And he never knew. He looked up slowly, eyes sharp with disbelief, hurt, and something dangerously close to devastation. "Why, didn't you give me this?" he asked, voice rough. His father swallowed, shifting in his chair. "I thought I was doing the right thing." "The right thing?" Maxwell repeated, stunned. "How is hiding this the right thing?" "You were leaving," his father said, struggling to explain. "You had opportunities waiting. Big ones. You were always meant for more than this neighborhood. I didn't want anything, or anyone, pulling you back." Maxwell shook his head, gripping the letter tightly. "You don't get to decide that." "I was scared," his father confessed, voice cracking. "Scared you'd stay for her. Scared you'd give up the life you were meant to live. I didn't know what was best. I didn't want to lose you." "You lost me anyway," Maxwell said, his voice breaking. "Just in a different way." A heavy silence filled the room. His father's eyes glistened, not with self-pity but with regret so deep it made him look even smaller than before. "I'm sorry," the old man whispered. Maxwell stared at the letter, trying to steady his breathing. His hands trembled. His heart thundered against his ribs. All this time, all these years, he believed Donna never reached out, believed she let him leave without a word, believed the silence was mutual. But it wasn't silence. It was stolen truth. Memories rushed through him. Her face the night before he left, the way she looked like she wanted to say something, the hesitation he felt, the confusion. Everything clicked painfully into place. His father spoke again, voice thin. "I thought I was protecting you." Maxwell closed his eyes, gripping the letter until the paper nearly crumpled. "It wasn't your choice," he said. "It was mine. You took that from me." His father sagged into the chair, guilt weighing on his shoulders. "I know. I can't undo it." Maxwell stood abruptly, pacing the room. His thoughts raced. Donna working herself to exhaustion while caring for her mother. Him building success far away, believing she had moved on without a second thought. Every disconnected thread snapped together into a truth that shattered him from the inside. He finally stopped pacing and faced his father again. "I need air," he said. His father nodded weakly. "Maxwell, I really am sorry." Maxwell didn't respond. He walked out the front door and onto the porch, letting the cool evening swallow him. He pressed the letter to his chest, leaning forward, elbows braced on his knees. He felt the break, not loud, not dramatic, but deep. A crack inside his chest that had waited years to split open. Donna didn't forget him. She reached for him. She trusted him. And the truth never reached him. He looked out at the quiet street, his breathing unsteady. Everything he built, everything he believed, it stood on a foundation of absence he never chose. And now he had to face the cost. The night came quietly, settling over Oakland like a heavy blanket. Maxwell stepped out of the house with the letter still clutched in his hand, his chest pulled tight with something sharp and unsteady. The porch light flickered behind him, illuminating the tremor in his fingers as he held Donna's handwriting to his heart. He knew exactly where he needed to go. The restaurant was closed for the night. Chairs stacked on tables, front windows dark. But the back door glowed faintly from a single light inside, the kind Donna always left on when finishing paperwork or prepping for the next day. Maxwell knocked once, soft, but firm enough to carry meaning. The door opened a moment later. Donna stood there in a loose sweater, hair tied up, eyes tired but alert. She didn't smile when she saw him. She didn't frown either. She simply looked at him like she knew something serious was coming. "Maxwell?" she said quietly. He held up the letter. Her expression shifted, not shocked, not dramatic. Still, controlled, bracing. "Can we talk?" he asked. Donna stepped aside, letting him in without a word. The kitchen was warm. A pot soaked in the sink. Flour dust still on the counter from late prep work. It felt lived in, honest, the opposite of Maxwell's polished world. He stood near the table, uncertain how to begin. His throat tightened again as he looked down at the letter. "Donna," he whispered, voice rough, "I didn't know." She folded her arms, posture steady. "Show me." He handed her the envelope. Donna unfolded the letter carefully, her eyes scanning her own words, words written years ago, words she never knew never reached him. When she finished, she let the page fall slightly toward her lap. "Where did you find it?" she asked. "In my father's boxes," Maxwell said. He kept it. He never told me." Donna shut her eyes for a brief moment. Not dramatically, just allowing herself one quiet second of processing. "That explains it," she murmured. "I always wondered why you never said anything." Maxwell stepped forward, but only a little, not close enough to impose. "I thought you didn't reach out. I thought you chose not to." Donna opened her eyes again. "I did reach out. I wrote that because I needed you to know I cared. I needed you to know staying wasn't easy." "And I didn't know," Maxwell said. His voice cracked at the edge. "I built an entire narrative around something that never happened." Her face softened, just slightly. "Maxwell, I'm not angry." "That makes it worse," he whispered. Donna pulled out a chair and sat. "Sit down." He did. The letter rested between them on the table. A small piece of paper carrying years of misunderstanding. "What do you feel right now?" Donna asked. Maxwell let out a trembling breath. "Regret. A kind I don't know how to put into words." "Try," she said gently. "I blamed you," he admitted. "Not out loud, not consciously. But something in me always believed you let me go without fighting. I told myself that meant you didn't want me here." Donna nodded calmly. "And now you know the truth." "Yes," Maxwell said, "and it hurts. Because I left believing something that wasn't real." Donna looked at him steadily. "Maxwell, people leave for all kinds of reasons. Misunderstandings don't erase that." "I'm not asking for forgiveness," he said quickly. "I don't deserve that. I want you to know that if I'd seen this letter, everything would have been different." Donna's gaze drifted to the paper before returning to him. "Maybe. But we can't rebuild a life on what ifs. We deal with what is." He took a shaky breath. "You're allowed to be upset." "I'm not upset," Donna said. "I'm disappointed. But not in you, in the situation." Her maturity struck him harder than anger ever could. She stood up and walked toward the counter, staring at the pot in the sink as if it helped her speak clearly. "I need space," she said softly. The words pierced, but he didn't flinch. "I'm not walking away," Maxwell said. "I'm not disappearing. But I won't push you either." Donna turned back to him. "Good. Because this isn't something I can process in one conversation. You dropped years of truth into my lap tonight." "I know," he said. "And you don't owe me anything." She walked closer, stopping only a foot away. "Maxwell, I don't want to go backward. I don't want to revisit old versions of us. If we move forward, it has to be new, honest, grown." He nodded firmly. "Then I'll meet you there. No expectations, no pressure, just the truth." Donna studied him long enough to see if he meant it. and for the first time, she believed him. "Go home," she said gently. "Take care of your father. Take care of yourself. Let me sit with this." Maxwell nodded once, accepting her boundary without resistance. He reached for the letter, intending to take it with him, but Donna placed her hand on it first. "Leave it," she said. He did. Their fingers didn't touch. No dramatic spark, just a quiet understanding. He stepped toward the door. "Donna?" he said softly. "Yes? Thank you for letting me explain." She nodded. "Thank you for not running this time." He held her gaze for one more second, then walked out into the night, closing the door behind him. Outside, his breath hit the cold air and shook. He leaned against the wall, eyes shut, feeling the weight of truth finally land inside him. He didn't beg. He didn't plead. He didn't fall apart in front of her. But inside, something broke and rebuilt at the same time. For the first time in years, Maxwell Blake felt the full consequence of absence, and the quiet hope of a second chance that wasn't promised, but possible. The morning after Maxwell revealed the letter to Donna, Oakland felt different around him. The streets weren't colder, and the people weren't harsher. Nothing on the surface had changed, but something in him had. The truth he uncovered shifted the ground beneath his feet. It humbled him in a way he couldn't ignore. His father was still asleep when Maxwell stepped out of the house. He stood on the porch for a long moment, letting the crisp air settle into his lungs. He knew what he needed to do, not for Donna, not for sympathy, not to earn approval. For the first time in a long time, he felt compelled to act because it was simply the right thing. He walked toward the community center, the same one Donna often passed while mentoring younger girls. He had seen her there before, watching kids, correcting behaviors, building a world through small moments rather than grand gestures. If she could give pieces of herself to this place every day, Maxwell could give something too. Inside the center, voices carried through hallways. Kids played in the gym. Volunteers sorted boxes. The sound of basketballs drumming against the floor echoed like steady heartbeats. An older woman with sharp eyes and a clipboard approached him. She didn't smile. She didn't soften. She assessed him the same way everyone else here did. "You lost?" she asked. "No," Maxwell replied. "I'm here to help." She raised an eyebrow. "Help how?" "I want to speak with whoever runs the center." "That's me," she said without missing a beat. Maxwell extended his hand. I know who you are," she said. "Everyone here knows who you are." Her tone was not impressed, not judgmental either, just factual. "I'd like to support the center," Maxwell said. "Long term, not a one-time donation." She crossed her arms. "People come through here with promises all the time. Money is easy to give. Commitment is not." "I understand," Maxwell said quietly. "I'm not here for publicity. I'm not here to make anyone look good. I'm here because I should have been a part of this long before now." She studied him for a moment. Then she motioned toward her office. "Come inside." The office was cramped, filled with paperwork, half-used markers, worn-out binders, and a wall covered in photos of community events. Maxwell scanned the images, kids smiling, volunteers serving meals, small celebrations around achievements that would never make a headline. "This place isn't glamorous," she said. "We don't operate on big speeches. We operate on consistency." "I can be consistent," Maxwell said, voice steady. "Why now?" she asked. Maxwell hesitated before answering truthfully. "Because I finally understand what this place cost when I left." She didn't say anything at first. She simply nodded, acknowledging the honesty. "What do you want to build?" she asked. "A foundation," Maxwell replied. "Something stable, programs for the kids, food support, scholarships, resources for families. Not under my name, not branded around me. Just a structure that lasts." "That takes work," she said. "I know," Maxwell replied. She leaned forward. "Work you have to show up for. I will." After a long silence, she extended her hand. "Then let's begin." Maxwell shook it firmly. They spent the next hour discussing practical needs, real needs, not theoretical ones. Food distribution gaps, after-school program shortages, the lack of stable funding. He took notes, listened more than he talked, and asked questions that made her raise an impressed eyebrow once or twice. Not because he was a millionaire, because he was present. When he left the office, He didn't leave the center. He joined volunteers in the storage room, lifting boxes, sorting canned goods, loading crates into vans. Sweat built on his forehead. Dust clung to his shirt. His hands ached again. Different work than dishwashing, but grounding in the same way. People observed quietly. No one celebrated him. No one thanked him. No one acted impressed. And that was exactly what he needed. At one point, while carrying a heavy box toward the gym, he noticed Donna standing near the doorway. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't upset. She wasn't surprised. She was watching. He froze for half a second. Not discouraged, just aware of how much this moment mattered. He didn't put the box down. He didn't straighten his posture. He didn't attempt to look stronger. He just kept walking. Donna's gaze followed him with a mixture of recognition and caution. She wasn't judging him. She was evaluating the sincerity of his actions. After he placed the box on the table, he caught her eye briefly. She nodded once. Small, almost imperceptible, but real. Then she turned and walked away toward the group of kids waiting for her lesson. He didn't chase her. He didn't call her name. He didn't ask for a conversation. He respected the space she asked for. Hours passed. Maxwell helped with the after-school cleanup, swept hallways, handed out snacks, and sorted equipment in the gym. Sweat soaked his shirt. Dust clung to him again, but he didn't stop. Every task humbled him, yet somehow strengthened him. When the center emptied, the woman with the clipboard approached him again. "You're still here," she said, sounding almost surprised. "I said I would help," Maxwell replied simply. She nodded once. "You did well today. Thank you. Come back tomorrow. I will." As he stepped outside into the late afternoon light, he caught sight of Donna walking home. She didn't turn around. She didn't pause to acknowledge him. But there was no tension in the air. No hostility, just space. The kind that allowed things to grow. Maxwell walked behind her, not close enough to intrude, not far enough to retreat. He watched the way she carried herself, steady, confident, rooted. She had become a pillar in this community, something he once never understood. She stopped at her front steps. For a brief moment, she glanced over her shoulder. Their eyes met. No words. No gestures. Just a quiet exchange. Respect. Recognition. Possibility. Then she went inside. Maxwell stood on the sidewalk, letting the moment settle. The ache inside him felt different now. Not destructive. Constructive. Like rebuilding had begun from the inside out. And for the first time in years, he didn't feel like a visitor. He felt like someone trying to come home the right way. The next morning began with quiet sunlight drifting through the living room curtains, painting soft lines across the hardwood floor. Maxwell stepped out of the house early, pulling the door shut gently so he wouldn't wake his father. His muscles still ached from the work at the community center, but it was a good ache, an ache earned, not imposed by fear or regret. He walked toward the restaurant with no expectations, not hoping, not rehearsing, just following a steady pull inside him. When he arrived, Donna was already outside sweeping the front steps. Her movements were calm, smooth, practiced, like someone who had done this every morning for years. She didn't look up immediately, but Maxwell knew she sensed him there. After a moment, she spoke. "You were at the center late yesterday." "Yeah," Maxwell replied. "There was still work to do." She paused in her sweeping. "You stayed longer than most volunteers." "I needed to," he said. Donna leaned the broom against the wall. She looked at him carefully, her expression neither hard nor soft, simply present. "You free for a bit?" she asked quietly. Maxwell nodded. "Yes. Let's walk." There was no pause, no hesitation. She turned and walked down the sidewalk, and Maxwell followed beside her, not in front, not behind, just next to her, matching her pace the way he never had years ago. Their footsteps echoed lightly against the pavement. They passed kids racing bicycles, a man setting up a fruit stand, a woman unlocking her salon. Life unfolded in familiar layers around them. For a long stretch, neither of them spoke. Finally, Donna broke the silence. "I saw you yesterday. At the center." Maxwell nodded. "I figured you did. You worked hard. It felt right." She breathed out slowly. "This community, it isn't simple. People here don't trust effort immediately. I know. And it's not because they're cold," she continued. It's because they've seen too many people come in with promises, loud plans, short commitment. Maxwell listened carefully. I'm not going anywhere. Donna glanced at him, studying his profile. That's a big statement. It's not a promise, he said. It's a choice I'm trying to live through my actions. She nodded slightly. Better answer. They turned a corner, entering a quieter street lined with houses he remembered from childhood. Donna slowed her pace. You know, she said softly, when you left all those years ago, I never thought you'd come back a man who listens more than he talks. Maxwell let out a small breath of surprise. I had to learn the hard way that talking isn't the same as meaning something. She gave a tiny smile. Growth looks good on you. He swallowed, steadying his breathing. I'm trying. You are, she admitted. But trying doesn't erase the past. I don't expect it to. Donna stopped walking then, turning toward him. The morning breeze lifted a loose strand of hair across her cheek. Her eyes were deep with something he couldn't fully read, part reflection, part caution, part recognition. Maxwell, I care about this neighborhood, what I've built here, the people I work with, the kids who depend on us. Everything I've done for years has been rooted in staying, showing up, being steady. I know, Maxwell replied. And I'm not looking for anyone to save me, she continued gently. I don't need rescue. I don't need a hero. I need someone who understands partnership, who understands shared responsibility, who doesn't vanish when things get hard. I want to be that, Maxwell said quietly. Not just for you. For myself too. Donna's eyes softened. Good. Because I'm not interested in the boy who left. I'm trying to understand the man who came back. It wasn't a compliment. It wasn't criticism. It was an invitation. They resumed walking. The silence felt different now. Fuller. More honest. After a few blocks they reached a small park, one they used to hang out in as teenagers, sitting on the swings after school, complaining about homework, and dreaming about futures too big for the neighborhood to hold. The swings were still there. Donna sat down slowly on one of them. Maxwell stood a moment, then sat on the swing beside hers. A group of kids ran past them, laughing loudly. Donna watched them with quiet affection. They remind me of us, she said. Except they look a little happier. Donna laughed softly. We were complicated kids. You were the strong one, Maxwell said. No, she corrected. I just learned how to hide fear better. He looked at her, surprised. You were scared? Of losing things, she admitted. Of staying, of leaving, of choosing wrong. Fear doesn't vanish just because you pretend it doesn't exist. Maxwell nodded slowly. I understand that better now. Donna leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees. There's something else I need to say. He straightened slightly. I'm listening. You coming back. She paused, searching for the right words. It doesn't fix anything. But it opens something. Something small. Something new. Maxwell felt warmth spread through his chest. Not excitement. Humility. I'm grateful for that, he said. Donna reached down and fiddled with a twig on the ground. She didn't look at him when she spoke next. I'm not ready for anything big, she said quietly. Not yet. Maybe not soon. But I'm willing to see who we become when we're honest. I can accept that, Maxwell replied. I need you to. He nodded. You have my word. She finally turned to him, a real turn, facing him fully, and studied his face. For once, her expression wasn't guarded. It was open, aware, vulnerable, without surrendering strength. Give me your hand, she said. He blinked, surprised. Donna. Just your hand, she repeated softly. Not a promise, not a step backward, just acknowledgement. Maxwell hesitated for only half a second before extending his hand toward her. Donna reached out and clasped it gently. Their hands rested together, warm, steady, new. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't charged. It wasn't symbolic of anything except the truth. Two people rebuilding something carefully, honestly, without expectation. After a few long breaths, Donna released his hand. The warmth lingered. She stood from the swing. Walk me back? Maxwell rose, nodding. Always. They walked side by side again, the morning sun climbing higher above the houses, casting soft gold across the sidewalk. There was no rush, no pressure, no script they were trying to follow, just two people beginning again, slowly, deliberately, choosing a new kind of closeness. Not the old one, not the imagined one, but the one they could finally build now. The next few days unfolded not with dramatic changes, but with something steadier, quiet routines, real routines. The kind of steady presence Maxwell had avoided most of his life. He woke early, checked on his father, made sure his medication was lined up, then walked the familiar path to Donna's restaurant with no agenda except to show up. Donna noticed it on the third morning. She heard the soft clanking in the kitchen before she even unlocked the front door. When she pushed it open, she found Maxwell kneeling under the old industrial sink, tightening the pipe that had been dripping for nearly a month. "You're early," she said. He bumped his shoulder against the pipe as he tried to turn and look at her. "This thing was leaking again," he said. "Figured I could fix it before you got here." Donna crossed her arms, leaning against the doorway. "How long have you been here?" "About an hour." "Who let you in?" "You did. Last week. You gave me a spare key so I could help with deliveries." She blinked, realizing she had forgotten the moment. "Right." Maxwell tightened the last bolt, wiped his hands on a towel, and stood. His shirt was smeared with grease, but he looked content in a way that surprised her. "The leak should be gone for a while," he said. "I'll check it again tomorrow." Donna nodded slowly. "Thank you." He didn't smile or wait for praise. He simply moved to the counter and began organizing the shipment boxes stacked near the register. This was how the days began to look. Not grand gestures, not dramatic speeches, just Maxwell adjusting to the rhythm of the restaurant as if he was meant to be part of the machinery. Later that afternoon, Donna found him behind the building helping two teenagers carry crates of vegetables inside. The older one, Janelle, one of Donna's mentees, looked at Maxwell with cautious respect. "You don't have to carry the heavy ones," she told him. Maxwell smiled. Too late. This one already committed to going inside. Janelle laughed reluctantly. Her friend Tasha rolled her eyes but smirked. Donna watched the exchange, quietly impressed. When the girls walked ahead, she stepped beside him. "They don't warm up to people easily. I noticed. You didn't try too hard," she said. "That's good. They can sense performance." Maxwell nodded. "I just figured doing the work is easier than talking about it." Donna looked at him for a long moment. Not surprised, just taking in the man replacing the boy she once knew. "Come by the center later," she said. "They're practicing presentations for the youth event next week." "You want me there?" "Only if you're consistent," she said. "They don't need someone who shows up once and disappears." "I'll be there." The community center was lively when he arrived. Kids spread across the room rehearsing short speeches, while volunteers circled the room offering encouragement. Donna noticed him immediately. She didn't wave. She didn't smile. She simply acknowledged him with a nod, and that nod meant everything. He approached Janelle and Tasha, who were arguing over a misplaced cue card. "You two okay?" he asked. "Maybe," Janelle said. "No," Tasha corrected. Their bickering carried warmth, not hostility. Maxwell crouched beside their table, helping them gather scattered papers. "What's the presentation about?" he asked. "Community responsibility," Janelle said. Donna assigned it. Maxwell chuckled. "Sounds like her." Tasha shrugged. "She said you were helping with the food program now." "I am." "That's big," Janelle said. "You sure you're staying?" "That's the plan." Tasha narrowed her eyes. "Plans change." Maxwell nodded, accepting her skepticism. "That's true. So I'm not asking you to trust my plans, just trust my actions." The girls exchanged a look, one of unexpected respect. Donna watched from across the room, arms folded, expression unreadable but softening. By evening, Maxwell and Donna walked out together, though not intentionally. Their tasks simply ended at the same time. As they stepped into the cool air, Donna said, "You handled the girls well." "They're smart," he replied. "They don't need fixing, just support." Donna glanced at him sideways. "You're learning." "I'm trying." She took a slow breath. "Consistency looks good on you." He paused. "Thank you." But she wasn't finished. "I don't open up easily," Donna said. "Not after everything, not after years of doing this alone. But showing up matters. More than you think." Maxwell absorbed the weight of her words. "I'm not here to pressure you." "I know," she said. "And that's why this feels different." They walked in silence for a stretch, passing the lit windows of small shops closing for the night. "You're becoming part of the routine," she said finally. Not an interruption. Maxwell's chest tightened, not with excitement, but gratitude. "That means more than you know," he said. Donna nodded once. "Just keep showing up. No grand gestures, just this." "I can do that," he replied. She didn't take his hand this time, but she walked close enough for their arms to brush lightly with the natural sway of their steps. Small, subtle, intentional. By the time they reached the restaurant, she paused at the door. "Good night," she said. "Good night, Donna." She lingered just half a second before going inside. Maxwell stood outside for a moment longer, letting the night settle around him. Something inside had shifted, not dramatic, not loud, but real. Consistency wasn't glamorous, but it was changing everything. The next morning began with a vibration on Maxwell's nightstand, his phone buzzing insistently. He reached for it, still half asleep, expecting a message from the community center, or Donna. But the screen showed a different name, his senior partner in New York. The message was short. "We need your signature this week. This merger sets the tone for the next decade." Maxwell sat up slowly, the words hitting him with a weight he had tried to ignore. He opened the email attachment below the message. A contract. A timeline. A payout so large it would make most people dizzy. The deal he had worked on for almost 2 years. The deal that would cement him as one of the most influential business figures on the East Coast. The deal he once believed defined success. He set the phone down on his lap, staring at the bedroom wall as if answers might appear there. His father's soft breathing carried through the hallway. He rubbed his eyes, standing to stretch. His chest felt tight, not with panic, but pressure, the old kind. The kind that shaped him into someone who traveled more than he lived, who chose boardrooms over birthdays, who measured life in achievements instead of relationships. He showered, dressed in a simple shirt and jeans, and walked into the kitchen to make coffee. His father shuffled out a few minutes later. "You're quiet this morning," his father said, easing into a chair. "I've got a decision to make," Maxwell replied. "A business one?" "Yeah." His father nodded slowly. "Big?" "Yeah." His father didn't offer advice, didn't pry, didn't push. That alone grounded Maxwell more than any lecture could have. "I'll be out for a bit," Maxwell said gently. "You need anything before I go?" His father waved him off. "Go do what you need to do." Maxwell didn't go to the community center. He didn't go to the restaurant. He didn't even check his emails again. Instead, he walked. He walked down the long streets of Oakland, the same ones he used to avoid because they reminded him of what he left behind. Now, they reminded him of what he might lose if he made the wrong choice again. The weight wasn't fear, it was clarity. He found himself near an old basketball court, faded lines barely visible. He leaned against the metal fence and closed his eyes. Then the memories arrived, not rushed, not forced, but steady. A younger Maxwell, sprinting through airports, clutching his laptop as if it were oxygen, missing calls from home, skipping holidays, ignoring the exhaustion creeping into his bones, choosing next quarter over everything personal. Donna's face flickered into the memory, her calm voice, her grounded presence, her eyes the night he left, her quiet hurt, her strength. Then another flashback, him alone in a high-rise apartment, looking out over the city he had conquered, feeling a silence so deep it swallowed sound. A silence he filled with more work, more ambition, more noise. He opened his eyes again. The court was empty. The chain-link fence rattled slightly as the wind brushed past. Maxwell let out a slow exhale, not dramatic, not pained, just honest. He hadn't simply left Oakland years ago. He had left himself. From the court, he walked toward the waterfront. The sunlight shimmered across the water in soft ripples. Families passed by, pushing strollers, walking dogs, laughing with each other. Simple things he had missed while chasing things too complicated to hold on to. His phone vibrated again. 4 messages this time. "Board needs confirmation. Flights arranged for your arrival. We're counting on you. This is the moment." Maxwell stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he turned it face down on the bench. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, letting the cool air settle around him. His breathing steadied. His thoughts cleared. This wasn't about choosing between 2 locations. It wasn't even about Donna. It was about the kind of man he finally wanted to be. A man who didn't leave people in the aftermath of ambition. A man who didn't build a life too tall to see the ground he came from. A man who understood that success isn't measured by towers or titles, but by who you stand beside when the world grows quiet. He whispered to himself, "I did this wrong once. I won't do it again. Not for Donna alone, not for Oakland, but because the version of him who chased empty milestones no longer fit in his own skin." Later that afternoon, Maxwell returned home. His father sat on the porch, breathing in the fresh air. "You look like you faced a storm," his father said. "I did," Maxwell replied. "Did you win?" "I didn't fight it," he said. "I listened." His father nodded. "That's harder." Maxwell sat beside him, clasping his hands. "Dad, that letter Donna wrote, it changed me. It made me realize how much I let ambition control my choices." His father lowered his gaze, guilt still lingering. "I thought I was helping you." "I know," Maxwell said. "And I'm not blaming you, but I have to stop letting the world decide who I am." His father studied him for a long moment. "So what are you going to do?" Maxwell looked toward the street Donna often walked down. "I'm going to choose what matters." His father nodded once. "Then choose it fully." Maxwell spent the rest of the day in quiet reflection. He went to the restaurant in the evening, not to work, but to sit outside on the curb, elbows resting on his knees. The building lights glowed softly. Through the window, he could see Donna stacking chairs and wiping counters. She noticed him eventually and stepped outside. "You okay?" she asked. "Working through something," he said. She sat beside him, leaving a small space between them. "You look like you're carrying a decision." "I am." "You want to talk about it?" He didn't rush, didn't dramatize, didn't unload. "I have a merger waiting," he said calmly. "Biggest one of my life. It would root me on the East Coast for years." Donna nodded, absorbing the information. "And you're torn?" "Not the way you think," he replied. "I'm not comparing you to a business deal. I'm comparing who I used to be with who I want to be now." Donna exhaled slowly. "That's a heavier debate." Maxwell looked at her, not pleading, not hoping, just grounding himself in the honesty she had always offered him. "I don't want to choose ambition at the cost of everything human," he said. Donna didn't respond immediately. She let the words linger in the evening air, the silence respectful and steady. "Whatever you decide," she finally said, "make sure it's not for me. Make it for you. If you stay because of me, you'll resent Oakland. If you leave because of work, you'll resent yourself." Maxwell nodded. "I know." She stood and brushed off her apron. "Choose the version of yourself you want to live with." Maxwell looked down at his hands. "I intend to." That night, Maxwell stood alone in his living room with the contract on the table. He didn't think about money. He didn't think about influence. He didn't think about expectations. He thought about consistency. He thought about presence. He thought about the man sitting outside a restaurant, breathing in truth instead of running from it. He closed the contract. And he knew, tomorrow, he would say no. Not for love, not for approval, but for freedom. Real freedom. The kind that lets a man rebuild himself without running again. The morning Maxwell knew he needed to make the call arrived without ceremony. No dramatic sky. No restless dreams. Just a quiet California dawn stretching over the neighborhood, touching the rooftops with soft light and slipping through the curtains of his childhood home. He sat at the kitchen table, the merger document spread in front of him like a crossroads laid bare. His father was still asleep in the next room, and the stillness inside the house made everything feel sharper, clearer. Maxwell picked up his phone. His thumb hovered over his partner's name. For years, this group had relied on him, respected him, built with him, expected him to deliver. He inhaled slowly, grounding himself, then pressed call. It rang twice before a familiar voice answered. "Maxwell, we've been waiting on your final confirmation. We need your signature today." Maxwell looked at the documents again, not at the numbers, not at the projected growth, but at the space where his signature was supposed to go. "I'm not moving forward with the merger," he said. A long silence followed. When his partner finally spoke, the tone was cold, controlled. "You're walking away?" "Yes," Maxwell replied calmly. "I am." You're forfeiting one of the biggest deals of your career. I know. This decision affects our entire team. I know that too. Another long, strained pause. Then, a sharp exhale. You've changed. Yes, Maxwell said. For the better. His partner scoffed. You're choosing a quieter life over real legacy? Maxwell closed the folder. Legacy isn't what I thought it was. Is this about Oakland? It's about who I'm choosing to be. His partner didn't respond again. The call ended abruptly. No goodbye, no final words. Maxwell set the phone down and leaned back in his chair, letting the weight of the decision settle into his chest. He didn't feel fear. He didn't feel loss. He felt alignment. For the first time in his life, ambition wasn't pulling him away from something he cared about. It was guiding him towards something he could finally build with both feet on the ground. Later that afternoon, he walked to the restaurant. The sun hung warm overhead, and the streets buzzed with their usual rhythm. As he approached, he found Donna outside speaking with one of her mentees. She nodded gently as the teenage girl hugged her and walked away. Donna turned when she noticed him. Her gaze met his with calm awareness. You look like you've done something serious, she said. Maxwell nodded. I did. What happened? He stepped closer, not invading her space, but giving his words the weight they deserved. I turned down the merger. Donna blinked once, processing. She didn't rush to respond. She didn't soften into relief. Her expression remained steady. Why? Because the version of me that deal requires isn't the man I want to be anymore. Donna crossed her arms lightly. And what does staying mean to you now? Maxwell inhaled slowly. It means choosing stability over spectacle, people over power, real presence instead of running. Donna searched his face. And what does Oakland mean in that decision? It means I'm not escaping anymore. A quiet beat fell between them. Donna stepped closer, not dramatically, but with grounded intention. Maxwell, let me be clear about something. I'm listening. If you stay, it can't be because you see me as an anchor. It can't be because this neighborhood feels nostalgic. Staying here requires strength, commitment, patience. You can't attach your identity to me. You have to attach it to the life you're choosing. Maxwell nodded. I understand. Do you? Donna asked gently. Because staying isn't easy. It means showing up on days you don't feel like it. It means accepting that success here doesn't look like success anywhere else. It means doing work that may not get applause. It means being part of a community that expects honesty over perfection. I can do that, Maxwell said quietly. Are you sure? She pressed. Because, if you stay without meaning it, if you stay with resentment, buried under the surface, that will break more than leaving ever did. Maxwell took a steady breath. I'm not choosing you over ambition. I'm choosing a version of ambition that doesn't cost me everything that matters. That statement shifted something in her expression. She wasn't impressed. She wasn't overwhelmed. She was reassessing him, slowly, thoughtfully. Say it plainly, Donna said. What do you want? I want a life that I don't run away from, Maxwell replied. I want to build here, with real intention, not to chase you, not to prove anything, but because I finally understand what my old life cost. Donna looked down briefly, absorbing the honesty of his words. When she lifted her gaze again, something subtle had changed. Walk with me, she said. They moved down the sidewalk together, their steps aligning without effort. Maxwell didn't fill the silence. He let Donna set the pace, not just physically but emotionally. They passed the park again. The swings moved lightly in the breeze. Children played near the benches, while parents chatted nearby. Oakland carried the hum of real life, the kind that didn't need grandeur to feel meaningful. Do you know why I'm cautious? Donna asked suddenly. Yes, Maxwell said. Because you built this life without expecting anyone to stay. She nodded. Exactly. I built it so I wouldn't have to depend on someone who might disappear again. So if we ever choose to build something together, it has to be grounded in reality. Not hope, not memories. I understand. Do you? She asked again. Because staying doesn't guarantee happiness. It guarantees responsibility. He met her gaze firmly. Donna, I'm not here for happiness. I'm here for truth. And truth requires staying. The wind shifted lightly between them. Donna's eyes warmed, Not with romance, but with acceptance. Then show me. How? By continuing exactly what you've been doing, she said. Consistency, accountability, presence. He nodded. They kept walking until Donna gently slowed to a stop. She faced him fully now, the late afternoon light brushing across her features. I don't know where this leads, she said honestly. But I do know this, what we have right now is real, it's steady, and if you're choosing to stay for the right reasons, then I'm willing to take the next step. Maxwell swallowed softly. What step is that? Donna reached out, took his hand again, firmer this time, and held it. Choosing each other, she said. Not with promises, with actions. He squeezed her hand, grounding himself in the moment. This wasn't a reunion. This wasn't a spark. This was the beginning of something built from truth. Donna released a slow breath. You're officially part of my life now, Maxwell. Not as a visitor, but as someone I'm letting in. Maxwell nodded, steady. And I'm here, fully. Their hands remained joined as they turned back toward the street. Two people choosing a path not for fantasy, but for a future crafted with intention. This wasn't just love. It was commitment born from clarity. The years that followed were not loud. They didn't need to be. Maxwell learned quickly that a life built on presence didn't require grand milestones, headlines, or impressive buildings. It required mornings. Simple mornings. The kind where the sun crept over the Oakland rooftops while he brewed coffee in a kitchen that finally felt like home. The marriage he and Donna eventually chose wasn't a spectacle. There were no floral arches, no massive venues, no extravagant invitations. They married quietly, in a small room at the community center, surrounded by people who knew the truth of their story, not the surface-level one. Donna wore a soft cream dress that brushed her knees. Maxwell wore a simple suit, nothing more. Her mentees brought flowers they picked from a neighbor's garden. The ceremony took only a few minutes, but the silence between their vows held 20 years of unfinished history, repaired slowly with patience and truth. It wasn't a moment meant to impress. It was a moment meant to center the rest of their lives. After the wedding, they returned to work the next day. Literally. Donna reopened the restaurant at 6 a.m., as always. Maxwell repaired a loose cabinet door in the back room. No titles changed. No roles shifted. They simply continued the life they had already been building. What changed was the way they moved through that life, together, not as two separate people orbiting each other. Maxwell's father adored Donna. In ways quiet and consistent, he made that known. He often sat at the restaurant, sipping warm tea, while Donna served customers, and Maxwell worked in the back. Sometimes he watched them closely, like someone witnessing a story he once feared would never finish. One afternoon, as Donna wiped a counter and Maxwell fixed a loose hinge on the kitchen door, his father spoke softly. You two look peaceful, he said. Donna paused, glancing toward him. Maxwell stepped out from behind the doorway, wiping his hands. His father continued, I worried, for a long time. Thought I'd ruined something for both of you. But seeing you like this, it eases things. Maxwell placed a hand on his father's shoulder. You didn't ruin anything, he said gently. Life did what it does. We just had to catch up. Donna smiled softly. We're here now. That's what matters. His father nodded, eyes shimmering in the tender light of afternoon. I'm grateful I lived long enough to see this. That sentence sank deep into Maxwell's heart, not in sadness, in completion. The restaurant became a second home, not because Maxwell was trying to compensate for the past, but because working beside Donna grounded him. She ran the kitchen with efficiency and calm, and Maxwell learned to anticipate her needs, chopping vegetables, prepping ingredients, fixing shelves, restocking containers without needing to be asked. He never called it helping her. To him, it was simply living. When equipment broke down, he learned how to repair it. When deliveries fell short, he called suppliers and negotiated respectfully. When Donna's mentees needed guidance, he listened, encouraged, advised without preaching. But the most important shift came from the community. They stopped looking at Maxwell like a visitor, stopped waiting for him to disappear. One day, Janelle said it plainly while clearing tables after lunch rush. You're different now. You don't shine as bright, but you glow steadier. Maxwell laughed at the unexpected accuracy. That's the nicest way anyone has called me, less shiny. Janelle grinned. Shiny fades. Steady lasts. Donna overheard and smiled quietly to herself. Evenings became rituals. Not dramatic ones, grounding ones. Maxwell and Donna cooked together, sometimes in silence, sometimes laughing over small mistakes like burnt bread or forgotten garlic. They walked through the neighborhood after dinner, greeting people by name, accepting produce from neighbors' gardens, exchanging updates about the community center's upcoming programs. There were no fireworks between them. No grand declarations, no dramatic scenes. Just two people with intertwined routines, choosing each other daily without force or expectation. The peace of it settled into Maxwell in ways he never thought possible. He discovered that fulfillment didn't roar. It whispered. It whispered in early mornings when Donna nudged him awake with a soft touch. It whispered in the comfort of shared meals. It whispered whenever he fixed something in the restaurant before she had to ask. It whispered in the evenings when Donna leaned against his shoulder while they sat on the porch watching the neighborhood quiet down. Maxwell once believed peace was a luxury, a thing earned after success. Now he understood. Peace was the success. His father felt this shift acutely. One night, as they sat together in the living room watching a quiet game on TV, Maxwell's father spoke without looking away from the screen. "You're softer," he said. Maxwell turned toward him. "Softer how?" "Not weak soft," his father clarified. "Good soft. Like you finally let life reach you." Maxwell absorbed that. "Maybe I did." His father leaned back, hands folded over his stomach. "I spent years thinking the world needed you more than we did here. Now I see it was the other way around." Maxwell swallowed the lump forming in his throat. "I'm here, now." His father nodded slowly. "And I'm proud of the man you became." It was a small sentence, a simple one. But to Maxwell, it felt like the final piece of a fracture he'd carried for years, finally settling into place. By the time Donna and Maxwell reached their first anniversary, they had built a rhythm that didn't need validation. A rhythm rooted in work, community, partnership, and shared responsibility. No running, no retreating, no chasing illusions. Just a life built with presence. The one thing Maxwell once lacked, but now valued more than anything. He didn't crave escape anymore. He didn't crave noise. He didn't crave another city or another achievement. He craved exactly what he had. A life that didn't require him to perform, only to show up. The arrival of Marisol and Matthew changed Maxwell and Donna's world in ways neither of them anticipated. Not through chaos or sleepless nights, though there were plenty of those, but through the quiet realization that they were now responsible for shaping two human beings into adults who understood the weight and beauty of choices. The twins were born on a calm morning, the kind that settled itself over Oakland like a blessing. Donna held them first, one in each arm, her eyes soft with awe and a kind of strength Maxwell had only ever seen in her. When she eventually passed them to him, Maxwell felt something inside him shift. Not snap, not crack. Shift. A man who once avoided roots now held the two deepest ones he would ever have. From the beginning, Maxwell was deliberate about how he wanted the twins to grow up. Wealth didn't disappear, not with his strategic investments and the foundation he built, but it didn't dominate their home either. There were no gold-plated cribs, no designer toddler outfits, no nanny employees moving in and out of rooms. Donna insisted on structure. Maxwell insisted on involvement. Together, they built a household that felt rich in ways money couldn't measure. Breakfasts were a ritual, not rushed, not distracted. Donna cooked simple meals, oats, eggs, fruit, and Maxwell made sure everyone sat at the table, no matter how busy or tired they were. Even as babies, the twins sat in high chairs while their parents talked about the day ahead. Donna would lean over, brushing crumbs from Marisol's cheek. "We start our day with gratitude," she'd say softly. Maxwell would tap Matthew's tiny hand. "And we finish with intention." It became their morning creed, one the kids grew up repeating before they even understood the meaning behind the words. As they got older, the twins learned quickly that their parents measured success differently than most. Success wasn't about possessions. It was about responsibility. The house was loud in the warmest ways. Laughter bouncing off the walls, tiny feet racing through the hallway, crayons rolling beneath the couch. Donna kept a strict cleaning routine, but she never complained when art supplies scattered across the floor or when the twins insisted on helping her fold laundry, even though they mostly created new piles instead of fixing old ones. Maxwell loved weekends. Those were for slow mornings, for reading books aloud while both twins climbed over him as though he were part furniture, part playground. Marisol, bold and quick-thinking, often tried to turn every lesson into a debate. Even at 5 years old, she would cross her arms and ask, "But why, Daddy?" with a raised eyebrow that mirrored Donna a little too perfectly. Matthew, observant and gentle, asked quieter questions but noticed everything. He often tugged on Maxwell's sleeve to whisper, "Mommy looks tired today," or "Is Grandpa feeling okay?" Maxwell always answered honestly, never brushing off their curiosity. He wanted them to grow up with clarity, not confusion. Donna's influence shaped the twins in ways only a woman who fought for everything she built could. She taught them about heritage, about Oakland's resilience, about the importance of community bonds. She taught them to stand tall but not arrogant, to speak firmly but not cruelly, to defend their worth without relying on anger. One afternoon, when Marisol came home upset from school because someone made fun of her hair, Donna knelt in front of her and said, "You never shrink yourself to make someone else comfortable. You don't give your confidence away. You hold it like you hold your name, tight and proud." Marisol wiped her tears and nodded. Donna wiped them gently, kissing her forehead. Matthew watched quietly from the couch. Donna turned to him, voice warm but steady. "And you," she said, "don't ever join the world in tearing people down. Your strength isn't in how loud you are. It's in how well you listen." Maxwell watched the scene from the doorway, recognizing the same teachings that once shaped Donna into the woman she was. Firm, compassionate, deeply principled. She wasn't raising children based on caution. She was raising them based on power built from truth. Maxwell approached fatherhood with intention. He wanted his twins to understand drive, discipline, and purpose, but not at the expense of relationships. He taught them organization, the value of completing tasks, the importance of showing up even when it wasn't convenient. But the lesson he repeated most was simple. You don't run from responsibility. You stand in it. When Matthew wanted to quit soccer because the practices were tiring, Maxwell sat with him on the porch. "Do you enjoy the game?" Maxwell asked. Matthew nodded weakly. "Then don't let tiredness decide your future. You learn discipline through commitment, not through comfort." When Marisol tried skipping chores because she wanted to play instead, Maxwell crouched to her level. "Play is good," he said. "Fun matters. But so does responsibility. If you learn to balance both, you'll carry that skill your entire life." He taught them ambition with boundaries, drive with compassion, success with accountability. He tested his lessons through actions, not speeches. He showed up to games. He attended school meetings. He fixed things around the house before Donna had to ask. He held space for conversations the twins didn't know how to process yet. Maxwell became the man he once feared he couldn't be. Sundays often looked like this. Donna in the kitchen, hair tied back, seasoning a pot of stew while Marisol stirred beside her, trying to mimic her mother's movement. Maxwell outside with Matthew, repairing a loose fence post, explaining why certain tools worked better than others. Later they would all sit on the porch steps to eat slices of watermelon, spitting seeds into the grass while the street buzzed with weekend life. Neighbors stopped by to say hello. Kids rode past on bikes, yelling greetings. Music played from someone's window in the distance. It was simple life, but not small, not lacking, not fragile. It was a life built carefully, layer by layer, through shared values and shared presence. As the twins grew, Maxwell often reflected on how different his world had become. He knew there were people out there still chasing the kind of success he once thought mattered most. People building lives so loud they couldn't hear their own hearts. He would look at Marisol and Matthew playing in the yard and think, if more people heard stories like this, they might rethink what real success is. And if you're watching this right now, take a second to like this video and leave a comment below. It helps more families hear stories that remind them what truly matters. Thank you for being part of the Mr. Gerald family community. Years moved quietly in the Blake Queen household, marked not by major events, but by a collection of steady moments that stitched the family together day by day. The twins grew, each year adding more depth to their personalities. Marisol became sharper with her observations, bold in her questions, driven but fair. Matthew remained thoughtful, always thinking 3 steps ahead, calm even when others weren't. By the time they reached young adulthood, Maxwell and Donna had built a home that didn't rely on perfection. Only presence, only truth, only love shaped by daily consistency rather than grand gestures. And as all seasons eventually do, this one brought them into a softer chapter of life, one where the pace slowed, not from weakness, but from fulfillment. The evening air carried a light warmth as Maxwell stepped onto the porch, a cup of tea in hand. The wood beneath his feet creaked faintly, the same boards he once sat on as a boy, when life was simpler, confusing, and unspoken. Donna joined him moments later, lowering herself into the chair beside his. She exhaled with that familiar sigh she'd developed over the years, a sigh not of exhaustion but of satisfaction. The neighborhood had changed in small ways. New murals on the basketball court walls, a community garden blooming where an abandoned lot once sat,